What is going on, Diesel Nation? We're excited to have you guys with us today on the Diesel Podcast. We've got a couple big announcements. We wanted to welcome two new sponsors to the podcast. That's Wehrli Custom Fabrication and also Industrial Injection. We're really excited to have them be a part of the podcast and be able to have some episodes and deliver exclusive content to you guys about their products, services, what they're doing for the the diesel community and helping us upgrade our trucks and make them run more efficiently. So we wanted to let you guys know, stay tuned for some content with them, discussing what they're doing in diesel in 2021 and things we can look forward to with products, and whether it's for racing or towing or daily driving or just maintenance, keeping our trucks running. On today's episode, we're going to be chatting with James, and James is a podcast listener, and he had messaged us about his truck build, and I was chatting with him a little bit about why he gravitated towards a 6.7 Cummins and what his goals are for it. So it's gonna be really cool to chat with him, learn why that particular truck stuck out to him, and then one of the things that I know I can forget a lot of times is just how expensive truck parts can be. And it can be an expensive hobby, especially if we have, big goals with it, with all the different parts that go into it, and even labor and just sourcing things. And James he's got a really good plan, a really unique way that he decided how he was going to get from point A to point B with his build, in a creative way that he came up to do that. So I definitely wanted to have him on the podcast. I know a lot of you guys out there are, looking to build a truck. You got a power number, in mind, and you got to do it in stages. You really got to plan it out, make sure you're getting the right parts. So it's going to be cool to chat with James, learn how he's doing it to make his dream truck build happen. All right, let's get to the podcast with James and chatting about his 6.7 liter Cummins. James, welcome to the Diesel Podcast, and I appreciate you listening to the podcast. One, and then two is, telling us about your truck and your plans and everything. And I've been wanting to do a 6.7 Cummins episode from a listener, an enthusiast, and you got one. So I appreciate your time today, chatting with us, and you're gonna tell us some cool stories. Tell us about your truck, man. So I'm excited.
For sure, man. Really appreciate it.
What year is your 6.7?
It's 2018.
Okay, now is this your first diesel, or have you had them for a while?
Yeah. No, this is my first diesel ever.
So I got to ask you, so before you had one, what interested you about having a diesel truck?
When I was super young, man, I remember my uncle was a diesel mechanic, and seeing him come around, and his hands were always full of grease and oil, and I thought that was so cool at a young age.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to be a diesel mechanic, man. That was it.
That's cool. So you got hooked young.
What's that?
So you got hooked young on the diesel stuff.
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah.
Now, when you were thinking of, all right, well, I want to get a truck, did you look at Ford and GM, or were you were honed right in on, I want a 6.7 Cummins?
Well, off the start, I didn't really know the pros and cons of each platform, right? But my buddy Randy, he went and got a 2018 6.7 Cummins G56 truck. He bought it right off the lot, and we got her tuned up, and he let me try it, and that was it. As soon as I tried it, I was having one.
I think that's kind of how I got hooked too, as I was interested in them, and somebody I knew had it was a 5.9 then. I don't remember if it was an 05 or 06. And I just took a ride in it. I'm like, man, I want this. This is what I want. And it started right there. And I appreciate the other brands, and they do some really cool things, and they each kind of have, benefits and drawbacks. But it was just, I don't know, it was that sound. It was just looking at this big 6-cylinder inline 6 motor. And I'm like, man, this is so much fun. And the aftermarket, is so huge for Cummins trucks. It's like, you can do pretty much whatever you want, depending on power and things like that. Now, when you got this truck, did you have an idea of like, hey, I'm going to off-road this, or I want to make power with it, or I just want something that, fits a particular use, or, is it your daily driver?
I don't daily drive it. I have a separate vehicle that I daily drive. I'm going to have this for life. So, and when I was going to get the truck, I knew I was going to make some power. Like my buddy Randy is about performance too. And, we're just in a war now. I'm not letting him beat me. I'll tell you that.
There's always that one friend where they like, you get something and you're excited and you're like, hey man, check this out, man, this is totally cool, and then a week later they have that plus one other thing and you're like, I can't let him win, and it ends up
Yeah.
turning into this build off, power war kind
Yeah.
of thing, which I've been there, and I have one of those friends too. um
Yeah.
Now, where, as far as being in Canada, like the things that you can do to that truck are totally different than we can do here in the States. So
Yeah.
like when you're looking for power, like what kind of power range you thinking about? Where do you think you want to be when it's all said and done for, I'd say like 1,000 horse, 800, 1,300?
Man, honestly, I have no idea. I don't. Whenever I go to build something, I don't set any limitations. I'm just gonna build and build until I'm happy, and once I'm happy, man, I'll just maintain that.
Yeah, that's a really good perspective, because I found, as I've gotten older, and like when I was younger, it's like I didn't know anything, so I would just like buy parts and this and that, and I'm like, oh wow, I need a transmission now because I just smoked it. I didn't think about that. But
Yeah.
you get so used to the power though,
Oh yeah.
like
Yeah.
550 sounds great, and then you have 550, and then you get bored with it. And you're like, well, I want 650, and so it can quickly turn into four-digit power numbers, pretty easy. But what's so cool with the 6.7 is how much is out there, and what
Yeah.
just, it's not like before where it's like, well, if you want to make power, you got to get a 5.9. So many options for turbos and ejectors, ejection pumps, engines, powertrain
Yeah. For
setups.
sure.
It's wide open. So do you have, as far as like a build list, do you have something put together where, say your next step is going to be a turbo or fueling, or just do it as you can?
Well, it's my birthday next month, and
Okay.
I think a pretty good birthday gift would be a second gen swap.
There you
So
go.
yeah.
What size charger are you thinking about?
467.
That's a good one. That's a
Yeah.
really good one, especially if, for driving it. Just getting on top of it, it's so easy. That's one of the things I love so much about 6.7s is the size charger you can run and still get on top of it and not have the lag, say, that the 5.9s did, or um, just some of the. It's just so easy to spool big chargers.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Now, it was it was cool. You had messaged us on Instagram, and I always love getting Instagram messages because there's so many cool things people are working on. But you were talking to us about how you wanted to build this, and an episode we had done, and how it related to you, and what you were doing with business, what you had started. And I wanted to ask you about that part of it. It's for our listeners, is how did, say, starting a business, starting something, what made you do that? Why did you do it? And kind of how's that process going?
It's going pretty good. I've only opened up my detailing business for about 3 to 4 weeks, and I already got 130 names of people.
That's awesome.
So
That
yeah.
is awesome.
And these parts aren't cheap at all.
No.
So every day I'm always doing something to get towards the goal that I want.
Now, to get 130 people that quick, like, did it just spread like wildfire? Was it just word of mouth, and people are like, "Hey, man, I got to call
Yep.
James up to get going"?
Yeah, for sure, man. I work in a open pit mine, and I work with roughly probably 60, 70 people. So once a few people caught on, well, it wasn't long filling up my slots.
It's really interesting that you mentioned detailing, because one of the most therapeutic things I've ever found in my life is to detail a truck. Like, I love it. It's just,
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know what it is, but it's like a pastime that I have. It's just like a ritual. I put on some music, open the garage
Yeah.
door, you know, grab a beer, and it's just like, man, I just get lost in it. So like, when you're thinking about what to offer people, did you know right away, hey, this is what guys are going to want? Or did they tell you like, yeah, I want it washed, waxed, this, but I want undercarriage, or I want, engine bay detailing? Or how did you come up with a list of services to offer people?
Well, I do interior only. It's
Okay.
not it's not really any good to do outside work here, where 9 months of the year is winter, and then the other 4 months is almost winter. So it,
That's I mean, well, that's probably. I wish I lived closer because I love to detail, but the inside I just despise it. I don't know why. I'm not good at it. I get it's like I get frustrated, and then I just kind of wing it and stuff. But I know from like being here in Colorado, especially during the winter, it doesn't matter what you do. You're gonna have mud and sleet and just stuff, all inside. And you got a newer truck, like you don't want to destroy the carpet or the leather, just different things like that. So I could see that being a really big service or a huge need people would have.
yeah, for sure, man. Um, there's I like to keep my rigs clean. It's
Yeah.
always nice. Someone hops in, it's like, oh yeah, you're riding in style. Like,
Now, what's the diesel community or the diesel scene around you like? Is there a lot of diesel trucks? Are there a lot of enthusiasts?
no, there's the only diesel trucks really around is me and my buddies. It's a small town, so it's just us.
That's cool. So then you guys get the attention when you got these nice trucks making power, doing the kind of the build off and everything, and people are like, man, what's that sound, or why is that truck so quick, or
Yeah.
whatever. They know who it is.
And each way that I can travel. And on the highway, it's not enforced with police too much. We get floating along pretty good.
Nice. Yeah, there's it's really cool. One of the things I've really learned to appreciate with doing this podcast is how many diesel enthusiasts there are all over the world. And yeah, I have a good number of Canadian friends, and they always tell me, well, like you Americans think nothing exists outside your borders, and it hit me hard one day. I'm like, it kind of is, but there's so many. I've done episodes with shops and racers in Alberta and BC and the people in Ontario, and it's been so cool to see the diesel community there, but then also outside of North America. There's an episode I did once with a guy in England who he does Mercedes diesel stuff and conversions and things like that in Australia, and there's just all over. I'm like, it just amazes me how big the community is and how expansive it is, and it's always really cool to learn about how it can be different. We're all kind of brought together because we love diesel, we love the trucks, we love what we can do to them, but then just to expand our horizons a little bit. So I'm always really curious, like, what's a diesel scene like someplace? What what are options there? So it's always really cool to do episodes like this and just learn what makes you passionate about a truck, why you're into it, what your goals are for it.
Yeah, for sure, man.
With now, as far as the powertrain, is your truck a G56 or is it an auto?
No, G56 for life, buddy.
All the way. Did you do the clutch upgrade already?
Yeah.
Now with the tranny, have you thought about, hey, if I start cranking like 1,000 horsepower, 1,200 horsepower through this thing, what am I going to do with this manual transmission?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to do something with it. I'm not really too sure yet. I'm not that far yet. I'll worry about that when the time comes. But I got the Valair dual disc ceramic in it. And
okay, cool.
That is I recommend that very much.
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did an episode with Dan Valance not long ago. He's always really great to chat with, and what goes into his clutches and stuff. And I can't remember right now. I'll send it to you after the podcast, but there is a company making some upgraded parts for G56s. I just can't remember their name right now, but I'll make sure and send that to you. So if and when the time comes and you need some upgraded gears and different things in there, it's a great resource, because that was always one of the things, that I think for manuals, especially the G56, is, when it came to internal parts, there wasn't a lot, and it came up on Dan's podcast, and I was like, wow, I didn't realize there were all these parts. So I'm sure you're going to need some with the build that you have planned.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Now on fueling, do you have that all set up, or you got a plan for the injectors and what kind of CP3 you're gonna run? And
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a 12 mil stroker CP3. I'm not sure what size injectors I'm gonna go with. I got to talk to Cody first. I went to Cody Cloyd when I was gonna get my truck all geared up, so I'm gonna see what he recommends and go from there.
nice, nice. Now for the outside or this like the suspension and stuff, is the truck stock? Is it lifted or on that side? What are you thinking on like suspension and the setup with that?
I got a Carly 2.5 leveling system with the Fox 2.0 shocks.
Oh, cool. The Carly
Yeah,
kits are really nice.
yeah. And I went ahead and I went with the torsion sway bar.
Nice. And
Yeah.
your build has me excited, man. It's cool. It's just how
Thanks, man.
I wish we could still get these, do these cool parts and stuff here in the States, but it's like, with tuning and all that sort of stuff, it's just kind of changed things, down here.
Yeah.
But, you know, being there, you guys can live the live the 6.7 Cummins dream and kind of do what you want with them.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Um,
I don't get too bothered around here.
yeah, no, that's cool. Now with like events or a dyno or things like that, is that something that you want to do in the future once your build's done? Is maybe put it on the roller, see what kind of power it makes, or are there some events over on the East Coast where you could take it and run it down the track, or kind of do stuff like that?
No, I'm not really too interested on taking it to the track or not. It's a G56. Sure, I can shift fast, but I'm not gonna be as fast as the auto guys. And you know, I'll definitely put it on the dyno, see what kind of power I'm putting down. But I just want to have a truck that when I go on vacation,
Yeah.
I sees you on the highway, you better have something with some get up and go to keep up. So
I just thought of another question. This is another part of diesel that fascinates me, and I've only really noticed it when I've traveled. Is there seems to be pockets where, like, there's parts of California I've been to where it's like Ford country. All I see are Power Strokes. And I go someplace on the East Coast, not all, but mostly see Duramaxes. Another place is mostly Cummins. Is that, say, in your travels or your area, is it a big Cummins area or is it a little bit of everything?
it's we only have two dealerships here, only Chev and Ford, and it's mostly Ford.
Okay. So did you have to look pretty far and wide to get your Cummins?
Yeah, when my buddy bought his in 2018, I said I was gonna have one, couldn't afford it at the time, so I got a better job and I started looking. It took me about 2 years to find this because I was very particular in what I wanted, and it definitely paid off.
Now with what you were looking for, what was that? Was it a particular color or a trim level or a interior color, or what was it that you were looking for?
It had to have leather. I'm not having something with cloth, and it had to be a G56, and it had to have low mileage.
Yeah,
And that was it.
I can't believe that they stopped making them with G56s because I've driven. I haven't actually driven a G56. I've driven an NV5600.
Oh yeah.
And it was cool, but I was like, I just didn't like rowing gears. It's like I just didn't. My brother's the opposite. He loved rowing gears, and there's so many people who are really passionate about manuals though. Like they are passionate
Yeah.
about them, and with Ford and GM not offering it, I'm like, man, that was just it was a cool thing, So I don't know if they'll ever bring them back, but it was
Yeah.
I could definitely see the benefits of it, the benefits of having one and having the control. And I know 68 RFEs have come a long way, but it's like it's just it could be an added expense. Like probably what it's going to take to
Yeah.
upgrade your G56 if you have to isn't going to be anywhere near what a a 60 RFE built for a lot of power is going to cost. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
you don't have to worry
You know,
about those.
having a G56 truck is almost like your own little big rig.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's I love 6.7s. And you know the thing, like when I got into them, the third gens were out, and it was always like with Ram or Dodge then is you had to trade like interior creature comforts for the engine. And you know, like the GMs were nicer inside, and you know, even the Fords, and especially the 6.4s, they did a leap forward. And then Ram just leaped ahead so far. Like just looking at the interior in your truck now, and about other ones I've been in, like I think they have the nicest interior. So it's not that trade off anymore. Where like, well, I'm buying this truck for the engine. No, you're getting like a really nice interior. You're getting really nice stuff inside now. Where like my third gen rattled. Like I had it like I bought it brand new, and I think within a year it's getting rattles on the door panels and everything. And you know, it's the build quality's
Yeah.
insane.
Well, the way I see it is when Dodge was designing the truck, the budget they had to build that truck, they put most of their resources in making sure that engine was top notch, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think they realize too that you know we spend so much time in our trucks, and we want these things. So like, I mean, now someone I know it's a 2020 Laramie, and I'm sitting in that thing. And I'm like, man, this is comfortable. There's a touch screen. There's all these things, and you don't even hear the engine. You know, I mean, his is stock, so you don't hear anything. And I was thinking back to my '08 third gen, and it's totally different. So, yeah, I always love doing 6-7 episodes. I think that's my first one, so I'm kind of partial to it. And I just love what they can do, and just the setup of the trucks, how they look, and everything. And I remember when you messaged us and we were chatting a little bit. You know, you're telling me, hey, this is, you know, I took it upon myself. I grabbed the bull by the horns and I started this business because I want to use this to be able to, you know, help with your hobby. And it inspired me because that's what it's all about. These parts aren't cheap, you know, and sometimes I forget about it. Sometimes I forget, you know, when I'm talking about it, an engine or a transmission or something, how much money it is. And it's really cool to see how you've seized that opportunity and you've taken it upon yourself to just get it done.
Yeah. Well, I started this detailing last year, but like it was same thing, word of mouth, no page or nothing to go follow. And the money I made just from that last year has bought me all my performance parts so far.
Man, that's cool.
So,
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
You know, my mother is an extremely hard worker. She, you know, sometimes she's working 3 jobs to have what she wants. So my work ethic is, you know, compared to none.
Yeah, that's a really good lesson, especially for you know, people who are just getting into diesels, and you maybe they just got one and they're like, man, I like them, I love them, but these parts are so expensive. You just have to go work for it, and I think that translates to a lot of the things we talk about in diesel, whether it's business or whether it's, you know, an enthusiast building their truck or whatever it might be. Is nobody's going to give it to you. No, they're not going to hand it to you. You got to go create that opportunity. And I'm not sure if you caught our last episode with Lenny Reed from Dynomite Diesel. We were chatting about that a little bit with, you know, how he finds employees, what he looks for, and you know, it's really cool. It's one of those themes that it touches the racers. Like I know UCC's coming up here pretty soon. And all those teams and things, they do that. Nobody hands them a, you know, 2,800 horsepower truck and says go have fun. They got to figure it out, and
that's right.
all that kind of stuff. So yeah, man, I definitely appreciate you listening to us, you know, over the years, and you know, telling us about your truck and your journey. And I definitely keep in touch with us. I won't forget to send you the name of that company that does G56 stuff.
For sure.
That way you got it for your notes as you and your friend are there having the build off and one upping each other on power. I know it's going to come up. So I appreciate you chatting with us today, James, and telling us about your truck. And, you know, anytime, you know, you got questions or something, or you just want to share some 6.7 stuff, you know, that truck has a sweet spot in my heart. So I definitely want to hear about it.
For sure, man. You'll be hearing from me.
Don't forget, Diesel fans, make sure and stay tuned for the podcast. We got some exclusive content coming up with industrial injection, Wehrli custom fabrication, and a whole bunch of really cool episodes coming up. Whether you got a Power Stroke, Duramax, or Cummins, we're going to be covering it all. Until next time, keep the shiny side up.